Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me for the first time today. My name is Lucy, and today I decided to recreate one of my old makeup looks using my new techniques, and this is what I came out with. So if you do want to see the look that I recreated or how I created this look, then please do keep watching. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my brows, which is something I don't often do in my videos anymore. I normally start my videos with them already on, but I'm just going to show you the differences between how I used to do my brows and how I do them now. So I don't know how well you can see in this picture, but I used to really love the whole sharp Instagram brow kind of trend. I used to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade and probably the brow powder as well, or any kind of brow powder, but I always used to use really dark ones and make my brows quite dark and defined. Now I'm not saying I don't ever do that anymore, because sometimes it kind of depends on the look. I change up how my brows look. However, I prefer going for a bit less of a filled in brow and a bit more bushy. My brows are naturally quite thin and they don't actually go very bushy. Like even when I'm brushing them up, they kind of stay in place, which is why I find it tricky to do like bushy thick brows. But I am going to just go ahead and fill them in. So I never ever used to use a brow pencil. Like you would never catch me using a brow pencil, but now that's all I use. So I'm using the Morphe Biscotti brow pencil. I do also use the Anastasia Brow Wiz, which is in the shade Taupe, but today I'm using this one. So what I do is I start by just taking the brow pencil and brushing it through my brow. So I'm literally just going on from where the bottom of my hairs start and pushing it upwards into my brow. And I do that the whole way across the bottom of my brow, taking it right out to the outer arch. Then I'm just going back through and filling in more hair strokes just to fill it out a little bit more. Then what I do is brush down the top of my brow and do some hair strokes across there, following the natural angle of my brow hairs. Then what I do when I've got to this really messy, disgusting looking stage is I'll take my brow gel. So for today I'm using the Morphe Clear Brow Gel, but I do switch between so many different ones. Depends how I feel on the day. And I'll run this through my brow, brushing all the hairs up and just basically separating them and then just softening the tops of that brow. Then what I do is I take a makeup wipe, put it over my fingernail and then just carve underneath my brow, getting rid of all of that excess product. Then what I do is I carve underneath the brow with concealer. So today I'm taking the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop in the shade Fair, and then what I do after that is prime my lids using the Plouise base in the shade number 2. So now on to the main part, which is obviously the eyeshadow look, because that's what we're going to be recreating today. So this is the eyeshadow look I'm going to go for today. This is one I actually did back in November 2017. It's like a ombre winged eyeliner, half cut crease kind of thing. At the time I thought this was really cool. Actually, I remember that at the time I did this, it was like a trend. Everyone was doing the ombre liner reverse with the cut crease kind of trend, and I actually didn't credit anyone specific in the post because I do remember literally everyone doing them at the time. So I don't know exactly who started this trend, but obviously this was a long time ago. This was November 2017. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to recreate this look. In that look I used the Morphe 35C palette, which I don't actually think I have anymore. When I got the 35B took over from the 35C, and then obviously I got the James Charles palette, so that's the one I'm going to use today. So I don't know how well you can see it, but the red, the orange and the yellow in the crease are very kind of dull. They're just not really showing up very well, and the red is a little bit washed out, and they all just blend into one sort of colour. I think at that time I probably started by doing the yellow first and then the orange and then working the red in, which you guys know now is something I never ever do. I always start with the darkest shade first, exactly for that reason, so that I don't lose the colours and they don't all just blend into one. So actually for today I'm going to start by going ahead with the red shade from the James Charles palette, which is You're Kidding. So I'm packing You're Kidding on through my crease, making sure I've got the absolute most pigmentation I can get. So the next shade I'm going in with from this palette is the shade 518, which is this orange one up here. I've actually got to say, I think that's my favourite shade out of this entire palette. I just really love the undertones of that orange, and it's so pigmented and bright. I'm going to go ahead and blend that on top of the red. Now at this point, if you've got a little bit of a harsh line going on between those colours, you can pick up the shade Rusted, which is this one, which is literally in the middle of those two I've already used, and just blend that between the colours. Now I'm taking up the yellow from the palette, which is the shade B, and I'm taking that on a little bit of a smaller brush so I can get a more precise blend around the edges. The reason you want to use a smaller brush is so that those colours aren't going to merge all into one colour. If you use a bigger brush, that's what's going to happen. And then you just want to go back through all of those colours individually and start working them back in so we haven't lost any of those colours in the meantime. So after that blend, the next step is to cut the half cut crease out. So what I'm noticing in this photo from the last one is that I only took my half cut crease literally to the middle of my eye and left it there. Whereas now what I do is I actually take it a little bit further across my eye so you can fit all of the colours in without losing them. Also, something I wouldn't have done back then, which I do now, is removing the product underneath with makeup remover. Not everyone does this and it's definitely not a necessary step, but for me personally, I like to get rid of the product underneath before I put more concealer on top, just so it feels a little bit less cakey. So I'm just going to go in from the inner corner of my eye and start to get rid of some of that product. Now what I like to do is take a white base to cut the crease with, just so it's a lot brighter, and when you pack the colours on top of the cut crease, they come off a lot more vibrant. So I take the Plouise base in the shade 0, which is essentially just a stark white, and I'm taking my Zoeva 144 large concealer brush to cut the crease into a half cut crease. So I'm making sure I take this fairly high up my eye, actually above my natural crease, which is something, again, I never used to do. I always thought that a cut crease was literally in line with your natural crease, which does make sense, to be honest, but if you want to get the most out of your cut crease, you have to cut it higher than your actual crease, especially as we're also doing a graphic liner underneath. You've just got to have room to fit the both in. Now what I'm going to do is start to pack those colours back on top of where I've just cut the crease. So I'm going to start with the shade You're Kidding, which was the red I began with. Then I'm taking the shade Rusted, which was the slightly darker orange. Then I'm taking 518. And finally taking B on the inner corner. Now you might be able to see I've left a little gap in between the cut crease and the blend. That's because I don't want to take it right up to the top and then not be able to see the definition of the cut crease. So instead what I'm going to do is go in with the shade Flashback in the palette, which is the big white pan in the middle, and I'm just going to go ahead and pack that onto where the cut crease lies. So now I'm ready to start the liner. So what I'm going to do is just pick up a spare angled liner brush. This one is the 15 brush by Anastasia. It's really tiny and very cute and very precise as well. I've also got a bit more of that Plouise base on the back of my hand, and what I'm going to do is just pick up on the side of my brush a little bit of that base and start to map out my liner. So now what we're going to do with that liner is basically start to pack the same colours on that I did through the cut crease, but backwards. So obviously we've got the red on the outer corner, so the red is going to go on the inner corner of the liner, and so on. Okay, so this is where we are at so far. I'm going to go ahead and pop on some mascara and some lashes, and I'll be back to finish up the face really quickly afterwards. So for skin, I'm going in with the Maybelline Superstay foundation today. This one is in the shade 03 True Ivory. Now I've got two shades of the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. I've got the shade Fair, which I'm going to use under my eyes, and I've also got the shade Warm Caramel, which I'm going to use to cream contour, and I'm going to put these both on now. By the way, I've just remembered I didn't actually tell you which lashes I ended up putting on. These are the Lilly lashes in the style Miami. Now I'm taking the Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder in the shade 05 Fair to bake, well actually not bake because I don't ever bake, just to kind of set under my eyes and along my forehead. I'm taking a light dusting of the Morphe Icon Glamabronze bronzer to just add some more warmth back to where we put that cream contour, seeing as it's kind of merged into my foundation. And now, of course, I'm taking the Anastasia Snowflake Loose Highlighter because I'm literally obsessed with this at the moment. It's so gorgeous, especially for pale skin such as mine. So for my under eye, I'm going to start with the Anastasia Dark Side Gel Liner, and I'm just going to go in my waterline with that. Then I'm taking You're Kidding right underneath my lashes. Then taking the shade 518 underneath the red, and taking B to blend out the orange. So to finish up with my lips, I just went ahead and used the Zoeva Lip Crayon in the shade Theatrical Extravaganza, and then I also put on top the Lottie London Clear Gloss, and now I'm finished. So this is my finished look, recreating one of my old makeup looks from my Instagram page. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys did enjoy because a lot of you have been recommending me to do this video. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, a comment below, and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me in the future. You can also follow me over on my Instagram, which is at Lsgmakeup. As always, I'd love to see you over there. And for now, I think I'm going to leave this video here. Please do let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see me film, or if there's any other makeup looks you'd like me to create or recreate. But yeah, I'm going to leave this one here. So thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!